What up, YouTube? You already know. It's your favorite bean eating mofo fresh off that banana boat. The Latin assassin himself. Big Lou tapping back in with what it do with Big Lou, NFZR2, baby, baby. So, in the last part three of the CDCR, my California Department of Corrections uh, experience, it was a video about life in the reception center and what to expect. Okay, but the thing, what I didn't do was I didn't run down to you what my program was in there, how my group, my collective, the group segment I ran with, how we got down on a daily basis while in reception center. So this is going to be a real short video because I'm just going to run it down uh, from the rooster call, which is the wake up call in the morning, the gallo, till shut down at night, right? So I had explained this before on, I don't know what video it was, but there's 3 watches in California, and this has to do with the COs and all staff members, right? There's 3 watches. You got first watch is 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. That's first watch. Second watch is 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then third watch is 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's third watch. Okay, so second watch would come in at 6 o'clock, right? But most of these COs would get there like 5:30, between 5:30 and 10 minutes to 6. Okay, so as soon as my people start hearing, all the keys and all that, uh, whoever was designated as the gallo, which means rooster in Spanish, um, whoever position that was and was designated as the rooster, he would get up and do the wake up call, right? And it'd be and there's been different ones, so I won't give you an example, too good of an example of it right now, because I've heard like 4 or 5 different ones. Some of it was in Nawa, which is the old school native language of the Toltecs. They've also done one with a mixture of Spanish and English, and another one Nawa and English mixed and Spanish, because they're always going to say buenos dias, buenas noches, buenas tardes, stuff like that. Gracias, gracias a ti, right? Uh, so they go ahead and do it as in cadence, so everybody answers back, right? This is in reception, so keep in mind, people's the back window, uh, and on the thumbnail you can see the back window. Um, they You open your window and everybody usually hollers it out the back window. So basically, they just tell everybody gracias mi gente, or buenos dias mi gente, good morning my people, and everybody will yell back gracias a ti, right? And that starts the day, right? So however you guys work it between you and your celly, if you have a celly, obviously one will get up first and use the sink, wash up, right? And then it'll be the other person's turn. Usually, why one's using the sink, washing up using the hot water or the water to hit his grill and all that. The other one's usually making his bed, right? Okay, fold up your sheets and your blanket, and then roll up your mattress as tight as you can possibly have it, and then slide it against the wall to make it neat, right? Again, part of the reason the mattress are rolled up, so you're not tempted to lay back down and go to sleep. Second of all, it's a lot neater and it's cleaner, and you do a lot of things on your bed, right? You cook, you do all kinds of stuff, so you don't want to be spilling stuff. If you're into crafts, arts and crafts, if you're dealing with makeshift type of shaders and all that, you don't want to get all those stains on your bed. So there's a lot of reasons why we roll our mattress up. Mainly is to have that militant, uh, up to par, mentality, but also so that you don't get tempted to lay down, right? Because if your mattress is rolled up and then you lay down, you're going to be laying down on metal, and if it's wintertime, it's going to be cold, right? So we don't do that. And a lot of other group segments have also do the same thing, right? So you by 6 a.m. in the morning, you're up. You're booted and suited, right? So that means you're not in your boxers. You got your clothes on. You got at least your reception center shorts on, or your reception center pants, which are orange, right? And obviously your white T-shirt. You don't really have to have a shirt on, but you got to have socks on. You got to have your slip-on deck shoes, or if you're able to bring your personal shoes in from the streets, you'll have those on, or what we call bubble gums, which they look like Converse, the Chucks, the All Stars. They're black with the white bottoms, but the bottoms are a lot fatter, and they call them bubble gums. And if you got those, you put those on, right? And depending if you're getting self-fed in the morning, if you're like on lockdown or they're not having no chow movements for reception center, you will not. You will. Not, so once they serve the trays, bring the trays to your cell. Once you guys eat and then put your trays back out under the door, and the porters come along and pick them up and clean up and mop and all that, then you're able to fish. What I mean by fish is fishing on the tier with whoever, messages and directives and enlightenments and filters. We got all kinds of different things we call these things, and you have any of those, then that's when you'll be permitted to fish, right? And not only do you fish on the tier, you fish out the back window, you fish over the corridor, you fish from one building to another over through the back window, you fish through the vents. I mean, it's a non-stop thing, man. I mean, sometimes certain households are rocking so much with as far as and this is always how it's going to be. Intelligence is going to be going back and forth from all those different ways all those different avenues I just mentioned. And so a lot of times you're going to be trying to write letters or read a book, and you're not really going to get far because you're going to be getting constantly called through the window, through the back window, or through the vent, and you'll have to respond. Somebody can't be calling you, for example, hey, excuse me on the tier. So you always say this first, excuse me on the wire, right? That's when you're trying to push a message through the back vent or through the vent or the back window. You never just start hollering for somebody. You always say, excuse me on the wire, right? Or if you're on the tier, you'll say, hey, excuse me on the tier, Spencer on the tira, right? And then that'll mean people will know that you got some business that's got to be handled, and people will give you the respect and quiet it down so you can get a hold, call whoever you need to call, and they'll get back at you, right? And then you'll tell them, you got I got a one time coming your way, sir. And then that person will respond, okay, sir, gracias. And then you'll say, shoot your line, right? Whatever. Um, Depending on who you are, if you have a position, you're definitely going to be even more busier than that. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about security. You'll call for a water check. So again, you'll say, excuse me on the tier. Can I get a water check? If you're on second tier, you'll say, can I get a water check on 2, please? Or can I get a water check on 3? That's the third tier. And then cats will respond, water's clear. If it's not clear, they'll say hot water on 2, hot water on 3, right? If the institution gang unit comes in, or ISU, the institution security unit, comes in the building, your peoples will yell out. So if you're, example, if you're an H wing in DVI, they'll say, excuse me on the tier, H wing, the house is on ice, kukuis, right? So that means stop all movement until these guys get out of there. Okay, so again, you never can. First priority is household, la casa, the house comes first. No writing letters to your old lady, no writing letters to your kids, no writing anything, no reading books. None of that comes first before this. This is mandatory. This is A1. This comes first, right? So if they holler at you, and that's another thing you can get reprimanded for. If they holler your name and they call you out like 2-3 times, then you'll be DP, disciplined for whatever they feel is necessary, and you'll be dealt with accordingly. So usually it's a disciplinary action, workout, or some type of essay, some type of writing assignment, right? Especially they get most people in the morning when they're doing the gallo roll call in the morning. If they're doing it not in cadence where everybody answers back together, but if they actually, like, if you're in the whole and you're in the part where they got sections, they will call out everybody one by one. And if you don't answer back after like the second, third one, hopefully your neighbor will knock on the wall. It's one of the homies. They'll knock on the wall to try to wake you up. But if you don't respond back after like the second time, third time for sure, you're gonna get it. Not beat up or hands put on you, but discipline. Nobody wants to get disciplined. Nobody wants to get DP, right? It gets embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so back to the program reception center. Most of your day is gonna be, like I said, writing. It's gonna be a lot of writing, a lot of copying things, a lot of answering things. Especially if you have a position, and what copying things is, we call it Xeroxing. Everybody knows a copy machine, you Xerox it, right? Well, we don't have that obviously there. So Xeroxing means you actually copy it by hand, by rewriting it. uh, and that depends what your position is. And I'm not going to get all into that, but there's a lot of positions. It's paramilitary, the structure of it, and obviously there's a chain of command, a COC, and everybody has a channel. Just put it like that. So everybody answers to somebody. Um, Unless you're a member of the organization, the big organization, and even then you're going to answer to somebody. But a lot of times in reception center, they're going to be lower level members, like they're going to be entry level member or a seasoned member, but not a top member, like a not a member of any type of council. And that's about as far as I'm going to talk about that. Um, so a lot of your day, like I said, man, if it's where you're eating in the cell, that's how that'll go, right? If you're not eating in the cell and you're walking the child, then you'll go, depending on how they run the program there, because it's a mixture. They have PC, protective custody, and GP. So however they decide to run who first, right? Um, that'll depend on what time you actually make it out there to eat. Other than that, if you walk to chow, like I said, they'll determine who they're going to feed first, and then you'll go to chow, and then you'll come back. You'll get your lunch. You'll come back. Depending on who you are, a lot of guys, such as myself, well, I would make me a shot of coffee after breakfast, and then before yard was open, or before if I had assignment in the morning, such as like a program, like any type of program where like it's a classroom type setting, I would always, even before yard too, I'd always brush my teeth after drinking my coffee and before going out there. It's just a mental thing, as part of your program. So if you're off whack of your program at all, you kind of feel off whack yourself. You know what I'm saying? So after going to chow, you walk to chow, you come back. You might depending if you have some things you have to do already, then you'll get on it. If not, you might start reading a book, or you might start writing a letter, or doing some drawings, or whatever your hobby is, until you're called upon, right? Until you're called upon, and your assistance is asked of. You know what I'm saying? And then other than that, you're just in that cell all day until either they're running showers if it's your shower day. And again, like for example, the east side of the building will shower on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. The west side the west side will shower Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The east side will shower Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, right? And if it's your building, your wing to go to yard, then you'll go to yard and you'll spend about 3-4 hours out there. And in Tracy DVI, you only go once a week, right? So once you come in, and then in that day, and when it comes to that, you go to yard with your peoples. Um, if depending what your position is, you could be SBing some people. You could be running Machina, the machine. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you stay in twos at all times. You know what I mean? And it's a huge yard. You know what I'm saying? And we got our own designated area, so can't nobody say nobody's allowed to walk through there if they're not a part of the collective. If guys are there that are not fully cleared, or cleared partially at least, um, they'll be sitting down somewhere, and you'll have some guys on them that'll keep their eye on them, making sure of any type of not false, excuse me, any type of quick movement or anything that they feel threatened. Which a lot of times is kind of fucked up, because you're made to feel like like you didn't fucked up already. It's a fucked up feeling, but it's normal procedure. Everybody has to go through it. Um, and then what they do is they line you coming back in the yard. They'll line you guys back up by your tiers, and then you'll go in back into the into your wing, or into your hall, wherever you're at in the institution. And then if you have any medical ducats that you have to go take care of, then usually the porters will go around, the tier tender, the porters. You see, they go by different names: porters, tier tenders, trustees, whatever. Usually, trustees is the county jail name, but that's usually the guys that pass out trays, that mop, that sweep, that do any type of cleaning up in the building, right? They'll usually come around and handle your ducats, or if you already have your ducat because it got passed out the day before, saying that you got an appointment for this, that, or whatever, they'll come around and remind you, hey, be ready. They're gonna come get you in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever, something like that, right? And then you'll go and handle that, right? And then other than that, you won't be coming back out until it's chow time, dinner chow. And then the same routine, if they're passing out the trays, they'll do it like that again. If you're walking the chow, it'll be the same way, like I said earlier. Only difference is you will not be getting a lunch bag coming out of the chow hall for dinner. You only get your lunch in the morning after breakfast. Um, Oh, that's what I forgot too. The pill call, they come to your building morning, which they'll usually come before breakfast. They'll come lunchtime if you get afternoon meds, and then they'll come in the evening. And then you'll lock it back down. And then if you ain't, that's about it. There ain't no, you don't get phone calls in there. You don't get packages in there. The only way you get phone calls is if you're considered ADA, which is American Disability Act. You can get phone calls. They take you to a special yard for yard. Um, if you've been there for over a year, you can get packages. And I've only seen two guys ever do that, get that in person. You know, I've heard of guys doing it, but I've only actually seen two. So if you're there over a year, you're allowed to get a package, and you're not allowed to get clothes in there except for maybe a beanie and thermals, thermal bottoms, thermal top. You're not allowed to get shorts and all that. I don't believe so because you're in reception. I could be wrong on that. Most of it's hygiene and food. Um, and then that's pretty much it. The bar lock, they'll do the shutdown. They'll actually do a roll, not a roll call, but they'll do a good afternoon type of deal over the tier and cadence as well. And then the shutdown at night, is pretty frank. You'll hear the whites. You'll hear the sometimes some of the Crips will do it. The Bloods will do it in reception. There's not really too many Bloods, and Crips there's not really that many of them either. But they'll still do a shutdown. The whites will do a shutdown, and basically it's just that look, the nights come to an end, gentlemen. It's asked that you keep the noise level to a minimum. Respect others, and with that said, good night. Pretty much, you know what I mean. And then that's it. It's a wrap, man. It's a wrap, and that's how the days go in reception center in DVI Dual Vocational Institution, aka Tracy, aka the Gladiator School. Uh, that being, yep. So that's it. With that being said, Big Lou's tapping on out. What to do with Big Lou? Check you out.